So let's use this example chart to understand how the Subha and Asubha planets influence the horoscope. The Subha planets are fairly easy to understand. They benefit all the rashis that they influence. Jupiter and Mercury give 100% benefit not only to their own rashis but also to the ones they conjunct in aspect. Venus and the waxing moon fully benefit their own rashis but only give 25% of their energy to other rashis. The Asubha planets are a bit different. They struggle with keeping their own areas together, and so they don't have much time and energy left for other rashis. They might get involved with them for a specific purpose or for a certain time period, but they are not fully committed to them. Their main priority is to take care of their own rashis, and the ones that they don't own are dispensable for them. And that's why they are considered separators, because they might separate from the rashis they influence when their involvement is not necessary anymore, or when they have, when they somehow or another have a reason to let go of them. So now in this example chart here, we are going to analyze Saturn Dasha, and the rashis that Saturn rules are Saturn's top priority to maintain. And Saturn, of course, can do the best when he is exalted or conjunct its own rashi or aspecting its own rashi. If he's in any other position, then he depends on other planets to do so. But he will always try his best to not let his own rashis down. And among all the Asubha planets, Saturn is the most challenging. It represents the harsh realities of life, right? Getting divorced, getting sick, losing our job. Saturn is literally the karaka of human misery. And so whatever Saturn gives in his own dasha, there's always going to be an element of hardship that comes along with it. And when Saturn gives those hardships, then we have two choices we have two ways to respond to them, okay? And that is, we can either complain about it, or we can use those times as opportunities for growth and becoming a better person. That is ultimately the purpose of Saturn, right? To reward us with a better life after having made efforts to change ourselves. And so when we made efforts to change ourselves, then our karma eventually comes to an end, and then Saturn withdraws and lifts the burden from our life. And so now let's analyze this person's Saturn Dasha and see what she went through in her Saturn Dasha. So here in the D1, we can see that Saturn rules the 6th and 7th house. The 6th house has to do with work and health, and the 7th house with partnerships, both romantic and professional. And Saturn is also the karaka of the D10 and the D30, and so he is naturally focused on career and also on health. And so when we combine the karakaship with the house rulership here, then we can see that Saturn's primary concern during Saturn Dasha is success at work, managing house problems, and also cooperating here with business partners. Now, Saturn also rules here Jupiter, who is the 5th lord of creativity and also the 8th lord here of mutual resources. So this lets us know that she is also inspired to, as part of her work, to create her own brand and business. And she gets into cooperations with others in order to financially benefit from their support. And all of this is going to be Saturn's main focus during its dasha. Now, aside from Saturn's karakaship and also the houses that it rules, Saturn, of course, also influences other houses and house lords. And although he is going to get involved with those, when push comes to shove, he might not stay committed. So here Saturn is conjunct the 4th house and aspects particularly the 9th and the 12th house, right? The 6th house here, he rules, so he is always going to protect the 6th house, especially because he aspects it as well, so he can manifest it, maintain it quite well. And so particularly here we're talking about the 4th house, 9th and 12th, that Saturn is conjunct and aspecting. Saturn is also here conjunct the 4th Lord Mars and the 9th Lord Mars. And Saturn here aspects Mercury, who is the 2nd and 11th Lord, Venus, the 3rd and 10th Lord, the Sun, which is the Lagna Lord, and also the Moon, which is the 12th Lord. And all those houses that I have named and those house lords that Saturn is conjunct in aspects, Saturn is going to get involved with them, but he considers them ultimately expendable, right? What he cares most about is what he rules himself and his own houses. And so surely Saturn does get involved with all those other houses, like here the 4th, 9th and 12th house. He's going to get involved like Saturn does, right? He's going to create structure, he does his obligations, he maintains law and order, but he will only do it for as long as it serves his own areas. So now let's see how this plays out for this person. So now right away in the beginning of Saturn Dasha, this person actually moved out from home and went abroad to study. And so her Saturn Dasha here started when she was 20 years old. And this was the time when she moved abroad, okay, for her studies. And this happened here right in Saturn. And we can see this here in the D1 that Saturn separates her from the 4th house of home and roots. And so here in the D1 there's an indication that she might move out from home and be separated from her family. However, we need to confirm this also in the D4 as well. So in the D4, Saturn is in Aquarius in its Mula Trikona sign, right, in the first 20 degrees in Aquarius. And Saturn also rules here the 4th Rashi, as counted here from the ascendant, which is, again, he's also in the 4th house, just like in the D1. But here now, it is in a Mula Trikona sign, and that means that Saturn is actually able to manifest a new home. Saturn is also the 3rd Lord in the 4th house, and so right away we know that Saturn Dasha, in general, is inclined to move her. Now Saturn rules Mars, and Mars is the Lagna Lord, which means herself, and also the 4th Lord, which is her home. And it also rules here the 9th house as well, which has to do with foreign travels. And so we got some important factors for moving involved, right? The person, themselves, the home, there's also foreign travels, and Saturn rules all of those. However, this doesn't necessarily mean that this is going to be a permanent stay. But temporarily, she can go to a foreign country. And particularly because Saturn is here also in its Mula Trikona sign, so this is definitely going to give more longevity actually to this stay of her. Okay? But usually when we are talking about a permanent stay in a foreign country, right, you permanently move to a foreign country, then the main foreign factors need to be involved, which is, the 7th house, the 7th Lord Venus here in this case, Cancer, the sign of foreign countries, and Rahu, which is also the indicator of anything that's foreign. And of course for studying abroad, the 12th house is usually always involved in some capacity. But here Saturn doesn't have that direct connection. Saturn doesn't really rule any of those things, okay? He is also not conjunct with them. He's only conjuncted with Mars that has some, that sort of connects her with foreign countries, foreign travels, to some capacity, okay? but it doesn't have those important foreign factors so that she can stay there for a really, really long time. Okay. However, Mercury here is aspecting and manifesting Saturn. And Mercury manifests the 7th house, manifests the 7th lord Venus. It also manifests the 12th lord of foreign, studying in foreign countries, and it even also rules Rahu as well. And so it is Mercury that gives that extra oomph for her to go abroad. Okay. Now she knew before she even went there that she was only going to go there for, the period of her studies, which was 3 years. And that afterwards she is going to return home. This is also shown here in the D4 because all the foreign factors are not directly connected here to Saturn, who is the Dasha Lord. And yes, Mercury is manifesting Jupiter and all of these important foreign factors, but this aspect is literally only good enough for her to stay for some time, for some particular purpose, and then she had to return. Because Mercury here does only get activated for a certain time, and after that his influence is going to be over. And so then when that is over, then she had to return. Now, most importantly here, what actually made her move to foreign countries possible right away in Saturn? That is because Saturn is in this Mula-Trikona dignity. Had Saturn been in a dignity less than own sign, okay, less than own sign, then this move would have not happened in Saturn. Now the move particularly actually happened here in Saturn, Mercury, okay. Here Mercury gives this extra boost and manifests all of the foreign factors. And so it was during Saturn, Mercury that she got really excited about going to foreign countries, and she left for her studies to study in foreign countries. Now, when we go back to the D1, then we can see that Saturn here separates her from the 4th house, which is her home. But at the same time, Saturn also aspects here the 12th house and creates a long-term foundation in a foreign country. And again, Saturn is only going to get involved for some time. And so she right away knew, before she went there, that she's going to come back after some time. And this is really, this is a beautiful way here to see. When Saturn, we could say, temporarily creates or manifests something, he is not going to stick to it forever when it is an aspect, okay? He considers it a temporary obligation. And so she didn't actually enjoy going there. She did what her parents told her